Hey, back in LA. This is where I slept last night. And I'm in Venice Beach. Well, I'm by the beach, but yeah, I'm by Venice Beach. I slept the other night, on Rose and like Washington. There was a lot of people around me moving around, cursing. I think sanitation they came. I wanted to camp out over there so I could be close to the morning breakfast line thing that they do over there. And today I'm over here because I wanted to be by the library. But I didn't talk much about me coming back to LA. So in Portland, Oregon, I was sick. I had got sick maybe in October, and after the first time I got sick, it was like I was wet, and I wet my hair. My friend took me to a hot spring, so that was like September, and I wet my hair that night, and then I went to sleep. The temperature had dropped, and the next day I didn't wake up sick, but I could tell that something was wrong. Like I felt very drained and tired. And then I think the day after that I had a sore throat, and I got sick. And then I had a lingering cough, and then I got in. When it cleared up, when it felt like it was starting to clear up, then I got wet again in the rain, fell asleep outside again, and then I woke up sick again, and then I got sick a third time, and one time my friend tested me and I had COVID. So long story short, it just seemed like after, like, as soon as September hit and I got wet and the temperature dropped, I couldn't get well. I was sick. Felt like I got a little bit better, then got sick, and then felt like I got a little bit better and got sick. So I had to get out of there. So I came back to LA, and I've come back to LA. It's cold here, but it's a lot better than Portland. And like when I came here, I had a cough, and like in the week of me being here, like everything cleared up. Like when I was in Portland, my friend let me stay at their place, and then that was another thing. Like I didn't want to stay inside someone's place because that tends to go wrong, and I was like, I didn't want to like overdo it. So I was like, I just figured I'd come back to LA. But they got sick. And I think us both being in the house sick was like also, I don't know, prolonging it. I usually have a long lingering cold. Whenever I do get sick, it lingers, and I have to do a lot to like get rid of it. But like I said, when I came to LA, I had a cough, and it was like I almost couldn't speak without coughing. And out of first week of me being here, it cleared up, and now I'm like pretty well again. But just thinking a lot about like going back to New York. I want to go back to New York and kind of get stable. But also in my head is like, I see now, like when I'm in warmer climates in the winter, I'm safe from getting sick, or at least I think so. People have different opinions on like what makes you sick, but I definitely felt like it was temperatures and me getting wet and stuff. And it always seems like temperatures have something to do with me getting sick. Maybe because your immune system is low and you're around germs and stuff. But for the first 2 years of me traveling, when I was in New Orleans and in California, I didn't get sick in the winter. And then when I go up to Portland, I get sick. And also, New Orleans and California doesn't rain that much in the winter. New Orleans, yeah, it rained a lot in New Orleans, but I think most of the rain was in the summer and the spring and stuff. Maybe the fall. But when winter hit, it didn't rain that much, so I wasn't getting wet. And I don't think the temperature was so bad that it was like causing me to get sick. And here, this winter is pretty cold. It's colder than last winter, but it's better than Portland. And it was crazy because I was inside my friend's house, and I was like having this lingering sickness, and they had heat and stuff, and maybe it was just that we were closed in with germs that was prolonging it. But now I'm back outside and it's cold. Like I'm definitely my body is going through ups and downs because it warms up in the day, but at night and in the morning is really cold. But I think the fresh air and probably being out in the sun, or maybe like just, I don't know, not being around like closed in with like bacteria or germs or whatever, maybe that's why it kind of like faded away. I don't know. But yeah, like also thinking like I really want to go back to New York. I miss New York. I miss the vibe. I miss my friends. Like when I left LA last time, I was like thinking I not made a bad decision, but I was like, I could just stay in LA. It's really easy to live in LA on the streets and survive. It's a piece of cake. But if I go back to New York, I don't know if I would stay on the streets in New York. And I don't know if I really want to be indoors either. But I do want to go back into New York. But everything is like going up to Portland, Oregon really put things in perspective. There's people who live on the streets in Portland in the winter. There's people who like just plop on the ground and sleep, or they go into doorways and sleep. They're pretty old too. They're older. Like most people, homeless people are like older than me. There's not too many, or at least they look older than me. I mean, there is some younger ones. Some people build like structures to stay in. I don't know how well those can keep you warm. Or people have tents. They put them on top of pallets so water doesn't get into the tents. Even when I was indoors, I was cold. Like even indoors with heat, like I was cold. So somebody outside in a tent and stuff, I'm sure they can get it pretty warm if it's blankets and they got it all sealed up. But I still wonder, like I'm sure it's not as warm as or maybe it could be, I don't know. But then there's some people who just like plop down wherever they are and sleep the night, and that's very dangerous. And then I'm sure there's probably shelters that take people in. I'm not, people living in cars and RVs. It's really big there, but it was like hard for me to do it. And I can almost see like why people might do drugs. My one friend that's here, they said like one night, long time ago, because she's an older woman, that she and her friend was out and someone offered her a place to stay, but they didn't want to take her friend. And so she left her friend on the street, and her friend like froze to death or died, from being outside. And she felt very guilty about that. And now she's older and she's housed. But she said there was a time where she was doing heroin and she was up in Portland, Oregon. And when she did heroin, she didn't feel cold. So I was like, that's probably a big factor to why people do drugs. It's like to deal with being outside. Also like to stay awoke and stuff, because you might not want to go to sleep because you might die in your sleep, Yeah, so and even here it's cold. I don't know. This is my second winter in LA, and I think people say it's not normally like this. People say it always gets cold at the end of the day, but it's really cold compared to last year, I think. But I'm looking forward to the sun coming up and warming up. But anyway, if anything, I'll be here for 3 more months. Then I'm gonna probably go back to New York. I was gonna go to Seattle, then New York, but now I'm not even interested in going to Seattle. I just want to go back to New York and see my friends and maybe figure out a way to stay. Off to get my coffee. I can't do a thing without my coffee.